Good afternoon. So, a year ago, I entered a contest that I had no idea even existed. I was sitting in the TEDx BYU event, and they invited us to submit ideas, for this year's conference. And so I wrote a couple thoughts on the back of my business card, submitted it, and I didn't think about it again until a couple weeks ago when they called me up and said, "Hey, we've selected your idea." I was like, "Great, and we want you to speak about it." So here we go. By day, I'm saving the world a student at a time as a admissions counselor and financial aid counselor here on campus. But by night and on weekends, according to The Onion, I'm a professional pianist and composer. When I was being interviewed for my current position here at BYU, they asked a series of questions in which I had to choose a side, like, are you kind or are you professional? And I had to, whatever I said, they countered with, well, what's wrong with being professional? And it was just a tough interview. And so they then asked a question which sparked the idea for today. They said, are you creative or are you patient? And I said, okay, wait a second. Creativity demands patience. A truly creative person has to wait for the right idea to come. And when it comes, it takes an even longer amount of time to develop it and work with it and make it into something remarkable. I'm convinced that creativity isn't just spontaneity. While inspiration is a critical part to the creative process, it takes time and energy to cultivate and develop ideas. And we can see this pattern in the lives of some of the greatest creators in history. Picasso, he said, inspiration exists, but it has to find you working. Beethoven, when he completed his Ninth Symphony in 1824, he was 54 years old. And yet, he had wanted to set the text of the poem Ode to Joy to music since he was in his 20s, nearly 30 years before. When he finished it in 1824, he had used music that he'd been working on since 1811. So it took him 13 years to come up with the right ideas, to cultivate them, to develop them, to let them mature so that they could become one of the greatest pieces of music ever written. Creativity demands patience, preparation, and vision. Now, my story, when I was little, I absolutely hated piano. And I fought my way through, 8 years of piano lessons. And it was an awful experience. And I'm convinced that there's a special place in heaven for mothers who force their children to practice piano. However, I quit lessons, but I didn't stop practicing, and I started to learn how to write music. When I was 16, I asked a girl out to my very first school dance, and when she said yes, I was so excited that I did what every other 16-year-old probably did. I sat down at the piano and wrote a 3.5-minute-long piece in perfect sonata form. I knew I had a problem at that point in my life. Throughout my undergrad here at BYU and my grad degree at the London School of Economics, while I never eventually majored in music, I kept writing music. Can we bring the next slide in? What you're seeing here is a crazy idea that I had last year. I came out with an album, and I thought, gosh, what's the most insane thing I can do with the piano? And I thought, well, stick it in the back of a truck and play it as I'm being pulled up and over the Alpine Loop here in Utah Valley. I don't recommend it. It's not a very good idea, nor is it safe. But it was a ton of fun, and it was a really fun music video to put together. It took a great deal of planning, a great deal of preparation, and needed vision, but inspiration was only the beginning part of it. Let's bring it to the next slide. So, what is your idea? What are you going to be working on that you can share with us next year? What's your passion? Well, send us an email at tedxbyu@byu.edu, and maybe next year you'll get to share your story. Thank you.